So hello everyone, I'm Shrestha, and in this video series I'm going to talk about the fundamentals of ad creation and how it can help you to reach new potential customers, get more leads, and overall expand your business. So before we get to the step-by-step process of creating an ad, choosing different types of campaigns and ad sets and everything, I first want to talk about the history of ad and how it came to be. So history को कुरा गर्दा, let's first talk about the definition. है त ad भनेको it's a short form for advertisement, which basically means you are promoting something, whether that be a product or a service. So just think about it. From the things that you wear to the things that you have around your house, you bought it or your family bought it based on some form of advertisement. You might say like, होइन मैले यो लुगा त मेरो साथले भनेर मात्रै किनेको हो. But you are missing the point that that friend is actually advertising that thing, which in this case is a clothing item to you. So when you suggest someone a restaurant, when you suggest a new book, when you suggest some new clothing item, you're basically advertising for that product, for that brand, for free. So I would even take this further. I would say that we are a walking billboard whenever we get out of our house. Like, we wear clothes of different brands, we wear shoes of different brands, we wear different jewelries and different vehicles, and you get the point, right? So we have gotten to a point where the things that we have, the things that we buy, are creating an identity around our personality. So the fashion industry is entirely created due to the phenomena of labeling ourselves based on what we wear. Like, oh, यसले त गुच्चीको बेल्ट लगाउँछ, यसले त एडिडासको जुत्ता, नाइकीको जुत्ता भन्यो भने we are basically judging or labeling people based on what they wear, and the fashion industry are profitable due to this. So you might ask, like, how did we get to this point? यो पोइन्टमा हामी कसरी पुग्यो त? So if we rewind back to like a century ago, suppose, right? There was no internet, there was no I only use iPhone and Mac भन्ने खालको केटा थिएन, right? Majority of the people used to work in an agricultural industry. They used to harvest crops, wait for it to rain, pani पर्छ, अनि त्यसपछि crops-हरु उम्रिन्छ, then you sell those crops, and then like basically you get money and you make a living, right? So there was no like मलाई त यो ब्रान्डको भैँसी चाहिन्छ, मलाई त यो ब्रान्डको कुखुरा चाहिन्छ. You basically bought things based on its usability, and यदि usable छ भने like you were like, oh okay, मलाई काम लाग्यो or not. Like, you didn't like label yourself based on what things you have, right? Like, अनि then the industrial revolution happened, and then people started working on factories. Like, mass production started to arise, and people had more disposable income to buy things, to consume things, right? So Tara, even at that point, the consumers did not have much option, because the industries, like most of the industries, were dominated by one or two corporations, and that is monopoly. And in economics, there is something known as a sales law, which basically means supply छ भने demand आफै create हुन्छ. So त्यही नै भयो. I think these corporations used to like produce large quantity massमा, and consumers basically had to buy it because there was no other alternative, right? So for example, जब Henry Ford he started manufacturing car for masses, people who wanted a car had to buy a Ford's car because there was no other alternative. Up until that point, there was no need for advertisement because the brand did not have to promote how good their product was. मान्छेहरूले जसरी पनि किनिहाल्थे खालको थियो हैन. So it made no sense for like these industries to spend money on advertisement. They would rather focus on building more factories and producing more goods. So mind you, I'm not saying that advertising industry exists गर्दैन थियो भने हैन. It used to exist even further back like 16th century 17th century मा पनि advertisement industry थियो तर like there was no need. So what I'm trying to say is that if my company produces something, right, and the customer wants it, and only my company produces it, then like there was no need for advertisement. उनीहरूले किनिहाल्थ्यो, right? But once people saw that there was profit in this business, in these industries, more companies were established and there was finally competition between these businesses. So what this means for customers is that they now have choices, more options to choose from. So suppose if company A produces a car and company B also produces car, now the customer has the upper hand of choosing to buy whether from company A or company B. So if company A had a monopoly पहिला, now the company A has the possibility to like basically lose their profit if customers start buying from company B. So they had to now prove why their car is better from company B's car. That's when the advertising industry started to boom. So you might say, मैले त यो video, I clicked on it because I wanted to know about how to create ads and social media ads, but it has turned into a video that is basically teaching me the history of advertisement and why do I need it भन्ने खालको question हुन सक्छ. But trust me, this is a important concept to understand before creating any advertisement for any business. I would even argue that it is important to grasp this knowledge before starting a business. So no matter how unique your product is, there are going to be competitors if the market is profitable. Suppose एउटा मात्रै products in this entire world and you are creating it, there are going to be competitors, there are going to be copycat who will enter the market and then your profit will basically be thin, right? Conversely, जति simple होस् न तिम्रो product, जति फाली पाओस् न, if you can target the right customer at the right time with the right value proposition, then your company is going to grow, your company is going to prosper, your company is going to scale. So going back to my story, मेरो storyमा के थियो भने अहिलेसम्म competition भयो. Almost every industry there are like companies who are fighting for consumers' attention, right? So the companies needed to know how to get this message across in the most efficient way possible to the biggest mass possible. So at that time, radio was very popular. I'm talking about like 1920s and like at that time people used to listen to radio all the time. Internet थिएन, TV थिएन. So if they were bored, they had to like listen to the radio because they had nothing else to do. So companies started to capitalize on this opportunity by creating ad on the radio. Since it was an audio medium and they could not like show faces and people, the message had to sound great and the message had to be communicated clearly. Then fast forward 50 years from that time, we reached the cable era, the television era, where television started to become mass produced. People quickly switched to television from radio because like you can not only hear but also watch. People could get easily engaged both audibly and visually. So companies who were keeping track of this knew that the attention was shifting from radio to television, and they started creating ads especially for the television, like by using flashy visuals and well-known celebrities to endorse their brand. So fast forward to now, where I'm able to make this video and you are able to watch this video through the amazing power of the internet. If I want, I can sell you anything, and if you want, you'll be able to order it, and hence a business is created. So people think that this business and then business funny because it's a complicated term. Like how can I start a business and business go like you 1% you, and there are lots of nuances in this business term, right? So I'm explaining it in a sense that even a 5-year-old child can understand it. So basically you have a problem, or you see a problem, you encounter a problem, and then you ask people if they have encountered a similar problem, right? That's what's like तिमीले यो प्रब्लम फेस गरेछ and people say yeah गरेछु अर्कोलाई सोध्छौ मलाई पनि यो प्रब्लम हुन्छ when you get enough of तँलाई कस्तो थाहा भयो मलाई यो प्रब्लम भएको छ you get a market fit you basically found a market for that problem and the next step is you try to solve that problem. Boom, you got a business, you created a business, you are now an entrepreneur. Congratulations. So where was I? Okay, the only difference between the radio and cable era with the internet era is that there is no gatekeeper in this modern age. Gatekeeper भनेको के भन्दा they are like these production houses who used to like set a criteria for equality हुनुपर्छ यस्तो professionalism हुनुपर्छ यस्तो हुनुपर्छ in order to air the commercial. अर्को is there used to it required lots and lots of money and budget to advertise in the radio and television as compared to right now, which is like peanuts as compared to when you used to do that, right? So this is both a good thing as well as a bad thing. So good in a sense that these platforms, these social media platforms are democratized, meaning everyone has a voice to express their opinions, to sell their products, to provide their services. The bad things root from this ability to sell anything and express anything because there is no filter, which means that consumers could get scammed easily. You might ask, why should I care about this thing? Mal the genuine product bonus, mal the genuine service page. Well, you should care about this thing because consumers may not trust your brand based on the fact that they had used a similar product before and they were scammed. मैले कुनै product किन्न लाग्छु भने यदि मलाई त्यो product पहिला किन्दा scam भएको छ भने I would be more aware. I would double check and see if that brand is going to do the same thing as the previous brand, right? So like in order to instill trust within the customers, you need to make sure what you say about the brand, where you say it and how you say it is well established. So also before all of that, you need to ask yourself why your products or service, what is it that you offer which is totally different from the competitors who are basically selling the same thing. So I don't mean like it doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be a feature or a groundbreaking innovation. Like if you're selling hand woven hat, for example, right? You can communicate the feeling that you get when you wear that hat in like a cold winter, which fits perfectly in your head as compared to like a regular hat that you can get in store. You can communicate how stylish the colors are so that you don't have to compromise style with warmth, right? So what I'm saying is there is a saying, there is a saying which says people will forget what you say, people will forget what you did, but people will not forget what or how you made them feel. And this is so true for brands as well. If your brand can touch the pain points of the customer through emotions, you'll get a lifelong customers. And this can only be done by you. No one can explain the vision of your brand better than you can. No one can communicate the true essence of why your brand exists better than you can. No one will believe in your brand unless you do it first. So this lays the groundwork for the main video itself, which the video that teaches the practical steps of creating your very first social media ad. So let me summarize also भनेको कुरा in a completely different way. So if your product sucks, no matter how much you spend on advertisement, no matter how many times you optimize your campaign, no matter how many targeting ads you run, it won't take you anywhere. It will just tell your potential customers how crappy your product is. You'll be running retargeting ads telling them what an idiot they are for visiting your website. Don't be that brand. The so-called boosting a post is not going to increase your sales. Spending $5 and expecting a 10x ROI is not going to happen. Advertise your brand when you feel like you are actually doing a disservice by not letting your potential customers know about your brand, rather than advertising when you see no customers buying your product. Advertisement should not be a last resort. Advertisement is not a god that can make a dead person alive. It is more like a fuel that will keep the fire burning for the whole community on a cold winter night. That being said, my next video on this video series will focus more on the practical steps of creating a social media ad. So till then, sayonara, have a safe day. Bye bye.